Obviously, you get used to listening to Moose and Maggie in this time slot. Well, I am, in fact, not Moose and Maggie. Licata here. And I just want to say, look, I'm going to do a sports talk show. I'm paid to do my opinion on sports, not about anything that goes on with the station that is above my pay grade. It has no impact on me other than in this particular case, Moose, who, he's my partner at SNY for over 10 years. He's one of my best friends. I've known him forever. I kind of followed in his footsteps working here. And yesterday I was kind of shaken with the news and obviously feeling for him. He'll be all right. He's going to be fine. I know nobody's as hardworking as he is. He's going to be okay. And obviously, best of luck to Maggie moving forward. Now, let's do some sports talk, shall we? See, here's what I have a hard time with in this particular town. The idea is, the Knicks, they're so terrible. How do the Knicks lose to the Bulls? And don't get me wrong, it was a frustrating evening if you are a Knicks fan. I get it. But remember how bad it was for the last 20 years? There were some things in that game last night you actually enjoyed, you got into. With Quickly and Toppin showing some speed and electricity that you haven't seen in a while with their athleticism up and down the floor. The ability to come back in a game like that after they're down by the Bulls. The Bulls are a better team. You got to give them credit. But the idea that we're now going to pick apart the Knicks because they're not as good as they were last year with the 4 seed and who knows how far they can go this year and they need to make a big trade to be legitimate. What'd you think coming in? I mean, all right, we thought they would be better than last year. Maybe it hasn't worked out like that, and they have been lousy at home. But the reality is they're still playing much better basketball than anything we saw for the last 2 decades at Madison Square Garden. This is a good thing. Let's remember where we are here with this group. They're building. They're getting better. They've done well in drafts. They have a nice future. Now, you know me. I'm not normally a bowl of optimism. However, I got to bring some reality to the situation. We're going to go nuts now every time the Knicks lose a game? I mean, they're playing some tough teams. They're maybe not as good right now. And it's frustrating with Julius Randle turning over the basketball at an alarming rate. Or the Knicks, they have a chance to come back and blowing the opportunities late in that game. I get all that. But at least they're a real team. They have a legitimate chance to be in the postseason. That's the big picture. That the Knicks are, in fact, back. They're relevant. We could talk about them in, what is this one? December. We could talk about them being relevant. Toppin looks good. Look at the positives with this group. Toppin looks like a player. And if he could ever develop a 3-point shot, look out. He'll be lethal. Randle, obviously, he's got his ups and downs, but Randle is a player. And now with them, jettisoning Kemba Walker, which is the best thing to do, now with Randle, you see him being back to what he was as that point forward, as that alpha male of this group. Now, you want to change the look of the team eventually, bring in Dame Lillard or whatever disgruntled star that might be available. That's something else for another day. And obviously, we'd all be welcome to that. But Randle has done a good job here for this group. Last year was an all-star on the leader, and now he's starting to get back to that form. This team has a chance. Emmanuel Quickly looking like he could be a player. If they could ever get, and I know Barrett's been out, but if they could ever get him to be consistent here and have a reliable scorer, obviously not shooter because he's not a great shooter, a reliable scorer with R.J. Barrett, that's even more positive for the Knicks. So the negativity, just because they lose to the Bulls, who are a very good team, to me is a little bit much. Let's remember where we were with the Knicks for the better part of 2 decades and where we are now and looking ahead. This team is not built to win the championship. That's the Nets. Let them go out there and try to go win a championship. They fell short last year. Can they do it this year? I have my doubts, but we'll see. It's not about that. The better signs are what you see from Obi Toppin and Emmanuel Quickly in particular. Those are the things that you like. Or the good part of Mitchell Robinson, who I know he can't defend the perimeter clearly, but is a great rim protector and can finish around the basket. Knicks have a chance here. They're solid. They should be a playoff contender. We'll follow that storyline all year long. So on one aspect of it, it's the Knicks, and they're terrible. They're not as good as they were last year, Sal. They were the 4th seed. They're not going to win a round. They come all the way back and they lose to the Bulls, or they've been losing at home. No. But you get that from one aspect, and then the same fans in this town who rip the Knicks for being mediocre and 500, they're talking about the Giants as if they're some playoff team. Guys, come back to me here. The Giants stink. with Daniel Jones, without Daniel Jones, with Saquon Barkley, without Saquon Barkley, defense this, defense that, coaching this, coaching. The Giants aren't any good. How much more do you need to see? Playoffs? Are you kidding me? They're in last place in a lousy division. And yet you're looking at, in the Giant fans are looking, oh, well, this could be a game where, you know what, they could start to stack some wins here. They got lucky they beat Philadelphia last week. Philadelphia had the dropsies. If not for the Eagles beating themselves, Giants would have had another L hung on them. Oh, but their schedule, Sal, it's softening up. No, it's not. Miami, I got news for you, is better than the Giants are. They are a better football team. Miami, who started 1-7, are now 5-7 on the year, and they're better. And they're going to kick the Giants' rear end this weekend. That is a game you think on paper, wow, they got to beat this team. Yeah, just like they had to beat the lowly Atlanta Falcons, right? Just like they had to play well against the Broncos at home. Just like they had to beat Washington on Thursday Night Football. They're not good. Now, we could dissect the reasons why. You could sit there and say, well, we want to see Daniel Jones. I know, another week of it. That's what we get set for on a Football Friday. Another week of, let's see what Daniel Jones has in store. Is he or isn't he the quarterback of the future for this team? Some say yes, some say no. It's the weapons around him. It's the coaching. It's never him. It's never his fault. Never you, Jim. It's never his fault. But that's what we're at. Oh, and let's see. Yeah, maybe the Giants could win this game, go into Miami and get a win because their schedule softens up here. Look, I mean, don't you realize that people are looking at the Giants, other teams look at the Giants and say, oh, that's a win. You think the Chargers or Dolphins looking at the schedule saying, crap, we got to play the Giants this week. What are we ever going to do? They're looking at that saying, we're going to get right. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet, now don't hold me to this because I don't really have the money to lose. I'd be willing to bet the Giants do not sniff a win until maybe at Chicago, the second to last week of the season. They're not beating the Dolphins on Sunday. They're not beating the Chargers after that. And they're sure as hell not beating the Cowboys. I don't care where that game's being played. They're not beating the Cowboys. At Philadelphia, better luck next time. So instead of looking at, oh, this could be a win streak, and maybe, and I get as a fan, you want to be hopeful, but you also have to be realistic here. You got to live in reality. And the reality is the New York Giants are not a good football team, and they haven't been for a while. So instead of looking at it like, yeah, okay, this 4-7 lousy team that was lucky to beat the Eagles. I mean, all we heard about was, oh, Jason Garrett's out of there now. Well, the offense should pick it up. Well, how'd the offense look? You know how it looked to me? The same as it did before. Kenny Galladay's got some nerve complaining about Jason Garrett, even if he does it indirectly. Still, you know what he's saying. Oh, yeah, it's better with Freddie Kitchens. Yeah, it's better with... Oh, it is. Okay. Yeah, it looks much better to me. I mean, wow. Wow, that offense looked really different last year. Oh, last week, I should say. Basically looks the same as last year. Awful. The difference with the Giants this year has been the defense. And because they have had one good game now, it's, oh, the defense is back and look out. And they're going to be great and go out there and beat the Dolphins and slow down Tua. Can they actually play a solid football game from all facets? And maybe, how about that? If they do that once, then maybe do it again before we start to look at it and say, well, they could go on a winning streak here. Well, they might be able to get in the playoffs. I get the NFC stinks. And because of the added team in the postseason, now you're going to get bad teams in there. And realistically, yeah, mathematically, they're in it. But I think you're two things. Number one, and most important, not looking at what this team actually is and what they've been. You watch them play, you realize they're not a playoff team. Forget about the standings. It would be the same thing we said about the Mets during the majority of the year. Even if they were in first place, there was still something off. They didn't look like a real first-place team. Well, watch this Giants team. You're telling me, we watch enough football, you're telling me you look at that team and say this could be a playoff team? No way. Now, if they do turn it around and go out there and play well for, the next 4, 5, 6 weeks consistently, then yeah, maybe they will look like a playoff team. Right now, based on anything we've seen this year, last year, not even close. And when you're evaluating Daniel Jones, injury is part of it. It can't be, well, he's hurt. You know what? He hasn't had a full season of health. It's one thing if you want to complain about the offensive line. I mean, I don't see the offensive line throwing all those poor interceptions, and I understand how important it is to have a line in front of you that is competent. The Giants clearly don't have that. But I also can evaluate the quarterback on his own. Daniel Jones has not been very good. Gettleman could talk till the cows come home. I don't care. I'm seeing it with my own eyes. I have not seen a guy who's getting better in a make-or-break year 3. He's still making horrible decisions. Horrible. The offensive line isn't forcing him to throw the football to the D lineman. Horrible decisions. And the injuries are a part of it. Not his team injuries, his injuries. Oh, we need to get a more mobile quarterback. Eli's days are done. Forget about those 2 Super Bowl wins. Let's get a mobile quarterback. What you forget is not only did Eli actually win 2 Super Bowls, which is something Daniel Jones will never do. I know I'm going out on a limb there. Big, bold prediction on this Football Friday. Daniel Jones will never win 2 Super Bowls, but that's an easy thing to say. But Daniel Jones would never, from the get-go, you knew he was never going to be able to stay as healthy as Eli Manning. He was never going to be as durable as Eli Manning. Because Eli is as durable as they come. I mean, the guy was an Iron Man, never missed a snap. Until McAdoofus wanted to go with Geno Smith. By the way, maybe McAdoofus was onto something, getting rid of Eli before most people wanted to. Ahead of the curve. But when you're evaluating Jones, the injuries are part of it. The guy's injury prone. Neck and hammy and whatever. Now, you don't want to see that, but when you put yourself in danger by running the football the way that he does at times, chances are you're going to get banged up. And that's a problem. But it's not his biggest problem. I think his biggest problem is his ability to just play the position at the NFL level. He's not very good. End of story. So now you tell me going into this weekend's game, based on everything that we've seen with this Giants group, based on everything that we've watched for the last couple of years, and everything you've seen with Daniel Jones, and everything we watch with Joe Judge and the defense and how we're regressing, all we were told going into the year was, the Giants defense last year was great. It's going to be even better this year. It's been worse, way worse. So based on everything that we've watched, forget about what you might think, because that's stupid, what you project to happen. Nobody knows. You don't have any idea. Based on what we have seen, what in the world gives you the right to think the Giants would make the playoffs? Well, what gives you the right to think they would beat the Dolphins, let alone make the playoffs? Have you paid attention to what's going on with the Dolphins? Dolphins squashed the Ravens a couple of weeks ago on Thursday Night Football. Miami is a swarming D right now. Tua is actually playing well, dare I say. Dolphins are not as bad as their record. And their record is better than the Giants. They're a hot football team. They're a better defensive football team. They're a better coached football team. And one would argue, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this, they have a better quarterback, Miami does. And they're home. They're a better team. Simple as that. Miami is going to win their 5th straight here and get themselves to 6-7 right in the thick of things in the AFC. And the Giants are going to go the other way. And that's based off of everything that I've seen so far. The Giants had their chance after a poor start to do what Miami did. And they didn't do it. And we continue to wait and hope and wait that it might happen. All right, maybe they get this game here. Oh, no, moral victory. They played well against Kansas City and lost a close game. The Giants haven't played a complete, well-rounded football game basically since the win in New Orleans. And that was it. I mean, that was the one game. Even the game against Carolina at home, that wasn't impressive. The one against the Raiders at home, that wasn't really impressive. Oh, the loss against the Chiefs, that was impressive. The Chiefs at the time were struggling. And by the way, still are kind of struggling, or at least not what we thought that they were. The Chiefs are not who we thought they were, but the Giants are who they have been. And that is not very good. And at some point, I'd like to see actually somebody do something there. Whether it's Galladay, whether it's Jones, whether it's Barkley, somebody do something for that putrid, inept offense. That poor excuse for an offense. They don't score any points in today's NFL where it's wide open. They don't score any points. And they're going to get in a grinded out, dirty, physical battle with Miami? Guess what? It's not going to be good for them. And to think, and the Chargers have not been good, but to look at their schedule and think that they would have a realistic chance, I mean, maybe they have 2 more wins on their schedule. Man, that's an if. And it's not even based about the opponents. It's clearly based on what they have provided. And it's disappointing. So we should look to the Knicks and think, hey, at least we got something there. We got some competitiveness. We have a chance to watch a team be in the playoffs here in New York. With the Giants, not so much. And obviously with the Jets, they're not a team that is built to go to the playoffs this year. So it's a little more understanding. With them, it's about evaluating Zach Wilson and Robert Saleh in year 1. So now we can get back to that. And look, I think the Jets are going to get spanked this week by the Eagles. I mean, is that a surprise to anybody? Oh, they beat the Texans. Yeah, and Zach Wilson looked awful in that game again. The Jets, unfortunately for them, the best that they've looked, at least offensively this year, has been with backup quarterbacks. Pick one of the 3. They've been better than Zach Wilson. It's sad where we're at. We get 2 football teams, none of them worth anything. But at least one with the Jets. This was supposed to be that year where you're evaluating and you're looking ahead to next year. All right, let's see what we have in the rookie head coach and the rookie quarterback. And you don't expect anything other than some competitiveness week in, week out. And we really haven't seen that. They've had 2 shocking wins, beating the Titans and beating the Bengals. But it hasn't been what we thought maybe week to week with the Jets. So we'll continue to evaluate Saleh and Wilson and hope that they'll get better. The Giants? What's their excuse? The evaluating should be over. The waiting is over. This is a make or break year. Basically, it's get us to the finish line and see what happens with Gettleman. See if the owners do the right thing and move on from him. But I'm tired of hearing about Daniel Jones and, the hope of Daniel. Whether he plays or not, I've evaluated him. I've made my decision on Jones. I think if you're in year 3, the end of year 3, and you have to think about if he's a quarterback or not, odds are he's probably not the guy. He might be. I don't know. I've seen some signs. Well, he's got a big arm, stands tall in the pocket. Maybe. How many years are you going to give him? He can't stay healthy yet. Let's see. Maybe next year they'll build an offensive line and help him out. Okay. Same thing with Saquon Barkley, who will be better on Dancing with the Stars than he is with running the football. And all he does is dance beyond the line of scrimmage. Booker, Goldman last year, they've run the football better than Saquon Barkley. So I'm tired of it, the whole thing. Gettleman, Jones, Barkley. The only guy who I'm not tired of is Joe Judge, and that's only because this is year 2 for Joe Judge. Now, I'm tired of the coach speak week in, week out, but I do believe Joe Judge is a decent football coach. However, it doesn't mean that they can't do better, the Giants. And I think it's time they raise their expectations. Time to get better. Time to blow it up and get better. But hey, let's see what they could do against Miami. Maybe they could get to 5-7 and make a run at the postseason. 877-337-6666. Your call is on the other side. Sal Licata on the Fan.